the mob took part in killing John F. Kennedy?
Well, yeah, I believe there's a conspiracy there, but the real conspiracy is the Warren Commission. The Warren Commission was the government's way of using, just like they do with everything else, to convince all the believing public that this is what happened. This lone shooter, Oswald, sitting up in a building and he blew the back of Kennedy's head loose. That ain't what. If you follow this thing all the way back, you got to go all the way back to when Joe Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's father, was a sugar baron, and you go into the Lucky Luciano kind of reign of New York City. Then you start tying all these things together. Luciano gets sent off from a heroin arrest. Castellano takes over the family, the Luciano family, and in doing so, he needed a favor from Joe Kennedy, who Joe Kennedy got all his wealth from them boys in New York City and then families in New York City. And then Joe says, no, my son's coming up in politics. I can't associate him. So he ignores Costello. In the process of doing that, of course, you don't ignore them boys. It pissed him off. He put a hit out on Joe Kennedy. Well, Sam Giancana out of Chicago ran everything west of the Mississippi. Joe went to Sam, and this was a part of some other research that I did. There was a third party in the room, so it wasn't just them two. And Joe basically said, look, he pleaded for his life. And Sam said, well, what's in it for me? He said, well, my son's rising in politics. If he gets the White House, you get the White House.
So do you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone gunman in assassinating John F. Kennedy?
No.
What was the connection that Oswald had with the CIA and the mob, based on your previous discussion about the mob?
If you go back and look at Lee Oswald's uncle was a lieutenant for Carlos Marcellos in Texas. So there's your connection with Oswald's family being part of the mob.
So who do you believe shot JFK?
And they're starting to blow these pictures up of the grassy knoll, and they're outlining these figures, and multiple people saw flashes coming from that area. What I think is it was Johnny Roselli who shot Kennedy from the grassy knoll. That was the fatal shot. It might have been Oswald that hit Conley from up top, because that was a bigger target to aim at versus just the back of Kennedy's head. The reason I think it was Johnny Roselli, because not too long after all that was done and put to bed, and the commission said, all right, it was Oswald. Oswald's dead. It's all over now. We find Johnny Roselli cut up in a drum floating in Biscayne Bay. So how you end up looking is who's left. You know what I'm saying? If you want to find out who the real killers are, who's left, Santo Trafficani and Sam Giancana.
How does the CIA and the mob's involvement in JFK's assassination make you feel about the government today?
This presentation, is it for your school project?
Yes.
No comment.